Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? What is up? 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 It has been a long time. A very, very, very long time. It's been what? Almost 4 months since we have seen some NBA basketball action. It's been 4 months. 4 long months since I've been able to do this show. The last time I did this show, it was amazing. The Clippers had just lost to the Lakers. It was all of this drama going on. Everybody was worried about what was going on, who was gonna do what. Was LeBron the MVP? And then before you know it, Rudy gets the Rona. Rudy caught the Rona, and life was never the same after that. Welcome back, everybody, to the 2-for-1 show. It is dope to be back, to be here, to be doing this. This has always been one of my favorite shows to be able to do because, back when we were doing this, we used to have people from all across the United States that would call in. And so obviously today, you know that if I'm doing a 2-for-1 show, we gonna have somebody calling in from outside of where I live. So shout out to everybody out there. Go ahead, drop your topics. I will be sure to address everybody's topics as we go ahead and we begin the show. But first off, I actually want to go and I want to start with my first block. My first block is actually about what is going on in the NBA in regards to what they're doing with all of the stuff in terms of the visuals, as well as the social justice issues that are going on in the United States currently. In terms of the visuals, I love everything that I've seen so far from the NBA. I won't lie, I thought the Black Lives Matter, when I initially, envisioned it and saw it in my head, I saw it as like a mural or something that was extremely loud and obnoxious that I didn't want to see. But seeing it on the court, it's very subtle. It's there. You can see it. We saw today the Boston Red Sox put Black Lives Matter across the Fenway, wall. So it's very interesting to see where sports is going, where everything is going. Today, I actually covered the game early in the morning, pre-game, as well as during my lunch break. I got a chance to talk to Lou Williams as well as Doc Rivers. They both spoke today. And before I bring my special guest in, I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to play this clip from Paul George as he talks post-game after they beat the Orlando Magic handily 99-90, even though people will look at the score and say, oh, they did. Kawhi and Paul George didn't play in the fourth quarter. This is Paul George talking to me earlier about Black Lives Matter and Breonna Taylor and everything that's going on.
Thomas, go ahead.
Paul, obviously you just spoke about George. Oh, I'm sorry. Paul, obviously you just spoke about George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. There was a lot of talk about you guys coming back and being a distraction. Do you think that having the opportunity to speak about this day after day will continue to lend to that message and make more and lend to change?
Absolutely. I think, again, that's what we're here for, to continue to keep that in the back of people's minds. Her murders are still free, so nothing was done yet. And we're going to continue to, again, keep this fight going and use our platform to stand up for those that can't stand anymore.
Alrighty, so you heard that from Paul George. So now I'm going to bring in my special guest, Darien. Welcome to the show, Darien Chill of the Chill Takes podcast. He interviewed me a couple weeks ago. Really love his content. Darien, go ahead, talk to the people out there. Let them know where they can find you at.
What's good? It's Darien Chill. If you don't know me, you can follow me on Chill Takes _ S on Twitter. You can follow me on my main Twitter page, Darien Chill _ man. And I just talk NBA just like TPJ and Pavi, a little bit of NFL once that season gets kicked off, a little bit of culture talk too, man. So, that's how I do it on my ends.
Alrighty, so obviously we experienced our first bubble games today. You were able to see what's going on. The Clippers started out the bubble by beating the Orlando Magic today. Obviously, it's not a full game. They were playing for 10-minute quarters, which is not the full 48. A lot of players looked gassed. The intensity was there. You could see that guys were playing. What were your thoughts on what you saw from the first day from the NBA bubble?
I like the Clippers and the Magic matchup. I thought both teams came out ready to play. They were definitely breaking shots at the beginning, no doubt about that. But I like how they got into their game. I mean, like Paul George, he started out a little rusty, man, but he started cooking. I mean, he damn near made Evan Fournier fall, if I'm not mistaken. So he was cooking. Kawhi played good. Lou Will came in and started getting buckets. The Clippers are deep, man. I noticed that a lot. And then with the Magic, they just don't have enough firepower to match up with the Clippers, but I think they'll be fine in the East. Do you want to talk about the Nets game too?
And well, no. I want to stay on. I want to stay on this game because
Yeah.
obviously Montrezl Harrell and Patrick Beverley were not able to play today. Ivica Zubac is not with the team. So they are a team that is currently thin in terms of their actual, roster there. But you could see pretty much a semblance of what still looked to be a good force. Even Joakim Noah being inserted into the starting lineup. I thought that was pretty huge. I actually talked to Lou Williams today about the intensity of everything that was going on within the game and how he felt about it. He started off with a shout out to Montrezl Harrell, so I'll go ahead and play my clip of Lou's response to my question in regards to what his thoughts were on the first game in the bubble.
I want to send a shout out to Trez. I want to send a shout out to Pat who are dealing with issues at home with family. Let them know that we're thinking about them. That's first and foremost. As far as basketball goes, I think we did a good job moving the ball today. Thought we played well. We created some very positive building blocks to continue on in the next two scrimmages we got going into the regular season. I thought we did a good job.
All right, so even with that being said, as we know with the COVID and everything that's going on, a lot of these guys will probably be filtering in and out. We know that Zion Williamson is currently not in the NBA bubble right now. What are your thoughts on potentially seeing a Clippers team where you might not have a Montrezl Harrell or a Patrick Beverley or a Ivica Zubac on the squad? Do you think that they're still a formidable opponent in the West? How do you feel about kind of what you saw from them today, even without their full squad? Like, what did you kind of what are your impressions? I mean, people have heard me say a million times that I think this team is going to go to the finals. What were your impressions on kind of what you saw before? I spoke to Doc Rivers before the game, and he talked about the intensity, and I'll play it after you speak. But what did you think about kind of the intensity and what you saw, and do you think that you can take anything away from any of these games?
Yeah, most definitely. I think the intensity was still good for the Clippers, man. They still came out there and balled. I mean, even though they don't have Montrez, they don't have Shaman right now, they don't have Pat Bev, but Reggie Jackson stepped up. He looked good today. Joakim Noah, as you already stated, he looked really well today, especially in the pick and roll and defending at the rim. They're going to miss honestly, I mean, like, they got some good bigs and one of the Morris twins as well, man. So I like this lineup. I think it'll do well, for the first few games. But once they add in, I'm saying that the rest of that help with Pat Bev and Montrez and Shaman, man, they're gonna be on and clicking, man. So I don't got a problem with this Clippers team right now. They look good.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the biggest thing that I saw today from them was honestly Joakim Noah looking like a formidable Joakim Noah. I am a Bulls fan. I am a Chicago's Bulls fan. So I've been around and I've experienced Joakim Noah, forever. In terms of just like his personality, who he is as a player, what he stands for. And the thing about it is he's never going to be a guy that's going to go out there and going to blaze it up on a stat sheet. But he was also a guy that in Chicago was a player that actually wound up being top 5 in MVP voting in one year because of the things that he affects off of the ball. And Doc Rivers kind of spoke about that a little bit after the game. But I think the biggest thing that I saw from them, and including Joakim Noah, was intensity, right? I think a lot of the time this year, Pavi and I spent many a times talking this season about the Clippers and essentially talking about how they didn't look like they wanted to be there, or kind of they felt as though they wanted to fast forward to the end of the regular season because they felt like they were automatically a championship contender, right? What I didn't see from them today was any of that kind of laissez-faire attitude that they tend to have. And that's because you have a guy like Joakim Noah who's going to be extremely intense on the floor. But also, even when you think about a guy like Patrick Beverley, he wasn't even out on the floor today, right? So you have to think about how intense, like Noah started off the game with a foul. And instantly I'm like, oh man, Noah, you got to stay out of foul trouble, right?
Yeah,
but also, when Zubac is there, Zubac is a guy that a lot of the times is in foul trouble, right? So I've spoken about this many a time. So even Noah gives Zubac a break from foul trouble and vice versa. And that's the thing that I think is going to be the biggest thing for them moving forward, is really having a steadying presence that can come in off the bench that can, be there defensively. Even Pavi tweeted about Joakim Noah's passing ability in the short rotations and in the short screen and rolls. He can be able to take that pass because he has supreme court vision and can make that pass out to the corners and to the shooters. That's a pass that, as much as I love Zubac and I call him Zupac, that's not really a pass that I think that he will be able to, kind of make on a consistent basis. And I think that the thing that I was looking for from them was, I honestly didn't think that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard was going to play. Doc Rivers has notoriously this year not told us who, and when I say us, I mean us in the media, who is playing and who is not playing, even to the point where when we get the lineup sheets before the game, that's when we know who's playing. And he mentioned that today. And I actually spoke to Doc Rivers on the intensity and what he was expecting. And I was expecting Doc Rivers to say that this was going to be like a light practice. And Doc Rivers actually told me that this was like a preseason game. So I'll play that and then we'll move on and we'll actually talk about the Lakers because they play tomorrow.
Thanks, Doc. We'll take one final one from Thomas. You can go ahead, Thomas.
Hey, Doc, how you doing? Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
In terms of, as you guys take these, scrimmage games, are you going to continue to ramp intensity up, or is that going to be reserved for those 8, playing games that you all have to have?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're going to use these games to get ready for the real games. You always want your guys to play with intensity, whether it be practice, scrimmages, or whatever. But do you want them to play at their peak or whatever? No, I mean, it's fine if they do. I'm fine with that. That means that we're further ahead than you think. I think these games are really served, from my perspective, just to find out where we are, what we need to work on, and what works.
All righty. So, you heard that from Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers was talking about, he wanted to use this as a measuring stick to kind of see where they are and where they're going. And I think if you look at this game, this was a great measuring stick for where they are and where they're going. But that's also the other thing that as I mentioned, I didn't think that they were going to come out and try to play to win this game as if it was a playoff game. I thought that they were going to come out and try to play this game as if it was a practice game, which if you look at the other 2 games from today, I actually didn't watch the Heat game, but we can go ahead and we can get ready to get into that in a quick second. But before that, I want to immediately shift context and I want to talk about the Lakers, because we're going to get a chance to see the Lakers tomorrow morning or tomorrow, evening. So I'm going to be very, very interested to see how the Lakers look tomorrow, because Markieff Morris is now there. They're slowly getting their pieces. Obviously, Rajon Rondo is out essentially for the rest of the season. Avery Bradley is out for the rest of the season. The Clippers, without 4 of their main pieces, came out today and I thought looked well. They didn't look like they missed a beat at all. The Lakers tomorrow will go up against the Dallas Mavericks. So Luka will be playing, KP will be playing, most of the Mavericks will be playing. So this will be like a preseason game where we will probably see 2 to 3.5 of competitive quarters. But are the Lakers still the best team in the West? What are you looking forward to seeing in terms of the Lakers, in terms of the bubble play, as we ramp up to the first official 8 games? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't believe the Lakers are the best team in the West at all, in my opinion. But what I'm looking to see out there, I'm looking to see how the other guys play around LeBron and AD. I want to see if J.R. Smith can come in and hit shots. I think he won like Player of the Day, or like I want to say what's today? Wednesday. I think he won it yesterday, Tuesday. So he's been practicing good, it seems like. I want to see how Deion Waiters comes in. I want to see Alex Caruso. I want to see also Quentin Cook. I want to see if he can come in and be that next point guard off the bench, presumably with LeBron coming off in that when he's not on the floor. I want to see if he can settle the offense down when they go against the Mavericks. And also I want to see how the bigs look. I want to see if JaVale and Dwight, how they look against KP. And I want to say Dwight Powell, that's the Mavericks big. Yeah. So I want to see how they look down low. But also I want to see that the other role players, man, because we all know AD and LeBron going to show up, man. But it's all about the other guys, man. Can Danny Green come in and hit shots? Can he play defense? What's going to look like with the other Morris twin? How's he going to look coming in a little late? So it's all going to be interesting to see, man. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on the same wave in terms of kind of the expectations in terms of the Lakers. I think that the biggest thing that I'm looking forward from the Lakers tomorrow is just to see if there is rust. I think with the Clippers, kind of to start, people were starting and already immediately hopping on Paul George and talking bad about him. And I'm like, let the game play out. Like you haven't played basketball in 4 months. So I'm not going to hop on the Lakers immediately out of the gate worrying about how good they look. But I will say this. If LeBron and AD struggle out of the gate, or their
Mhm.
offense looks completely different than it looked before when Avery Bradley was in the mix and you have Rajon Rondo in the mix, I think that's the things that I'm really looking forward to seeing. I think that even looking at a guy like Dion Waiters, I think now was the time for him to really have the opportunity to shine. I think KCP, I know KCP, and my biggest memory of KCP is Kobe Bryant walking out of the game after KCP missed that shot on Kobe's jersey retirement night. So and that's no disrespect and not to throw KCP under the bus, but like I think this is the opportunity for KCP to really create his own his own playoff legacy. I actually saw a guy in Kareem Rush early who hosts a show, my homie Nick Hamilton, and they had a show, and I was like, damn, I forgot about Kareem Rush. But then you look at Kareem Rush, he was the guy that hit a bunch of threes for the Lakers in in key playoff games. I think KCP has the opportunity to be a Kareem Rush level type of player and develop those, and develop that Kareem Rush level type of impact on his team, or a Derek Fisher type of impact. But I think that it begins right now. So I want KCP to step into that role, play very well. I want Dion Waiters to come into that role instantly and be able to come in and not be outside of himself. I want him to stay within himself. So tomorrow, I'm not looking to see if the Lakers look like a championship team. I'm looking to see if the new pieces like you see on the Clippers can step in and instantaneously have an effect on the game in a positive way. Because if those guys come in tomorrow and they stink it up against a Mavericks team, which is on pace right now to set an NBA record in terms of offensive output, and Dion and JR, they come in and they up and KCP has a bad game, then I might have a few questions, because yes, it might be a preseason game, but it's not a preseason game because usually with the preseason, you haven't played with any of these guys before. This Lakers team was the Lakers team that had the #1 record. So I'm looking at them to come in and not necessarily establish dominance, but not look rusty and not have the new parts look as though they completely don't fit, because they only have 8 games to work it in. And with the scrimmages, really 11. So I don't know, because even with LeBron and his Cleveland teams, many of times we've heard people say at the trade deadline, oh, LeBron has a whole new roster now. You can't judge LeBron and his roster because he has an entirely brand new roster now, brand new team now, because they made a bunch of trades. Well, when you're looking at the Lakers now, they have key new acquisitions. Players are gone now, the equivalent of trades. How do you think those guys like KCP and Avery Bradley and Dion Waiters will fare? Do you think that they will allow the Lakers to continue to not miss a stride, or do you think that they will kind of, allow the Lakers to have a few hiccups? What do you think?
It's going to be interesting because with KCP, you know what I'm saying, he's been playing solid this year. I think he's averaging about around 12, 13 points. So he's been playing pretty good this year. But you're replacing essentially Avery Bradley with J.R. Smith, and Avery Bradley was hooping before the season ended. You saw him against the Clippers. You saw him against the Bucks. I think he put up 24 points against the Clippers, and I think he put up around 15 against the Bucks, if I'm not mistaken. But he was hitting shots. He was playing great defense. And then also you have people like Dion Waiters. I want to see how he gets in, how he looks. But
Yeah.
overall, man, I think the biggest missing piece will be this Avery Bradley not be able to play, man, because I think that
I agree.
you're missing a player that's probably one of your best defenders, arguably your second or your third best defender behind AD and LeBron. And then you have someone that can also run the floor a little bit too, man. He was playing some really great basketball, man. So I think not having Avery Bradley is going to be a very big miss. But I mean, I guess people like Kuzma, can he step up and start playing basketball consistently and well? Because as we saw with him, as the season was going down, he wasn't playing his best basketball either. So it's going to be interesting to see with Kuzma as well.
Yeah, actually, I kind of want to talk to you about that, Kyle Kuzma. What are your thoughts on Kyle Kuzma? How do you feel about him? What do you think? Lakers fans and I am on record as saying that I'm taking Kyle Kuzma over Brandon Ingram, and people have got very mad at me. But it's not because I think Kyle Kuzma is a bad player. I've always said that he's not a bad player. He is a player that lacks opportunity. And I believe that when you lack opportunity, that is the biggest thing for you. I think you saw what happened when he had someone that was there that was not playing his position, which is what LeBron largely plays the same position as Kuzma. So does Anthony Davis. Kuzma rookie year, Kuzma second year had the ability to be able to shoot. He also had somebody distributing him the ball and getting him the ball in places in which he needed it. What you see now on this Lakers team is not that. You see him having to come in and essentially pick and choose his spots, which is not the kind of player he is. That's also the reason why Brandon Ingram didn't work that well with LeBron James as well, because Brandon Ingram is not a pick and choose your spots kind of guy. So Kyle Kuzma, what do you think is his ceiling in this playoffs? I personally think Kyle Kuzma is the most important player on the Lakers. I think Frank Vogel said it the other day in his presser. He said that the Lakers don't have a third option, that their third option is the open man. I disagree. I think when the third option is the open man, and that open man is covered by Patrick Beverley or Kawhi Leonard, or covered by a Marcus Morris, or covered by a Joakim Noah, or covered by a JaMychal Green, who's not a scrub defensively, or covered by a PJ Tucker, because PJ Tucker probably won't be guarding LeBron, or he might not necessarily be guarding Anthony Davis, depending on the matchup. Robert Covington might be guarding him. So when you're looking at the third option, that third option has to be a key player for the Lakers. That third option has to be a player that's going to show up and actually score. And if Kyle Kuzma does not average 18 points per game in this playoffs, the Lakers will not win the championship. And remember, I said that.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I mean, Kyle Kuzma definitely has to step up and play some better basketball. I mean, he's averaging 12 points right now and 4 assists. I'm not really worried about the assists, but those points have to go up. I mean, he's averaging 12. That's a career low so far. But like you said, man, he's not a player that kind of has to, it's like a spot up type of player. He needs to get out there on the floor and feel his game. It's kind of hard for him to come off the bench. He's been starting his whole career. So I mean, it's just definitely hard. I mean, like you said, him and LeBron and AD play the same positions. They're going to have to figure it out, man. I think he's definitely going to be the first player off the bench and roll with those role players and be that key player, that X factor off the bench, man. Because if he can't get going, then they're definitely in some trouble.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're going to be in a lot of trouble if they can't get going. Not only because they depend on him to get instant offense, but also if he's not playing well on offense, there's really no point in leaving him in the game because he's not a great defender. He's a solid defender, not a great defender. And what you need from him is you need him to be a great defender. So I think that is the thing that I'm looking forward, for the Lakers, that I think could be their Achilles heel, but we'll see. Anyways, moving on, let's go ahead. Let's talk some NBA action from today. Obviously, we spoke about the Clippers defeating the Orlando Magic, 99-90. But also today, we got an opportunity to see Bol Bol as the Denver Nuggets beat the Washington Wizards 89-82 in some early action. The most interesting part about this, obviously, was the fact that the Denver Nuggets and Coach Mike Malone went out with the starting lineup of Nikola Jokic at point guard. Bol Bol was starting at small forward. Mason Plumlee was starting at center, and Jeremy Grant was in the game. This is one of the largest NBA lineups I've ever seen. I honestly think that every team in the NBA should be scared. What are your thoughts on what you saw today from Bol Bol, as well as what you saw today from the Denver Nuggets?
I didn't get to watch too much of that game because I was at work, but I saw the highlights of Bol Bol. He had 16 and 10, if I'm not mistaken. That block and that pull-up three was very, very KD-esque. I put it on my timeline, man. He looked good, man. He looked in shape. He looked like he's been ready to play.
Wait a minute. Did you just compare Bol Bol to Kevin Durant?
I said the gameplay, right? That block, the block off the backboard and that pull-up jumper, man. It was KD-esque, bro.
You're tripping, bro.
It looked KD-esque, man.
Look, KD and Bol Bol don't belong in any conversation with each other at all, period. Point blank in the story.
The pull-up jumper looked good.
You're disrespectful. You're disrespectful. You're disrespectful. No, it did not. It looked like a version. It looked like a larger version of his daddy. But the one thing I will say about Bol Bol that was very impressive, I think honestly more so than the blocks that he had inside of the lane and inside of the paint, as well as that pulling, pushing the ball up the court and pulling up. I think the most impressive thing that I saw from Bol Bol today was the fact that he had a block where it was like on a 15-foot pull-up jump shot, and he just jumped. And even even the Denver Nuggets, because the announcers, they had, I guess, like a live stream where they had other people, coming on and actually checking out, kind of what was going on, and everyone was talking, essentially live reacting to the game. The female announcer, and I can't remember her name, but she talked about how when she spoke to Bol Bol, was essentially telling her that I just have to be near the ball and I have to be near the shot. And when I'm near the shot and near the ball, I have to actually go and I have to get my hands up. And if I can get my hands up, then I'll be able to at least affect the shot. And what you saw instantaneously today was when you put him in the lineup where other teams are forced to put him in a mismatch, you can't shoot over him. That's also the same reason why Kevin Durant was so deadly on the Golden State Warriors squad at that point in time, was because you had Draymond Green essentially quarterbacking the offense, which I've talked to Coach Nick of B-Ball Breakdown, and he told me that he believes Draymond Green is the greatest defensive player of all time, but he also believes that Draymond Green is a quarterback in the equivalent to a Brian Urlacher or a Ray Lewis on defense. Well, all you need is a solid big man behind it, which you usually had in JaVale or a Zaza or a guy like an Andrew Bogut, who was an MVP in Australia as well as a #1 pick in the NBA before. So you had a solid, front court behind him, as well as Festus Ezeli, even though he was mid, but he served his role. And then you add Kevin Durant, the Slim Reaper, 6'11", 6'10", 7-foot wingspan behind that. He is mismatched on shooting guards and small forwards and point guards. That's a terror on defense. Bol Bol might be the real deal. The only thing about it is, obviously, this lineup is not going to be the lineup that they move into the regular season with. Most likely, you will have Jamal Murray and Gary Harris out there playing at at point guard and shooting guard. I do think the thing that gives me caution is I just don't know if Mike Malone likes Michael Porter Jr. And I've covered I think 2 Nuggets games this year. And Mike Malone, I just don't see the Michael Porter Jr. love that I want to see. Michael Porter Jr., I believe, has the opportunity to be the best player on the Denver Nuggets in the next 2 years. But he's not going to get there if he doesn't get any playing time. So I don't know if they're just kind of, slowly bringing him back due to his back situation, or if it's a situation of Mike Malone just not being a fan of him. But I've seen Michael Porter Jr. in person. He's not like Kevin Durant. I've talked to Kevin Durant post-game. I've seen Kevin Durant post-game. Very tall, very slender individual. Michael Porter Jr. is actually a very muscular and slender individual. He's not like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is built like me. Michael Porter Jr. is built like, he has an athletic build. Kevin Durant looks like a really tall dude that could just go in any gym and give you buckets because he's tall. But then once you see him shoot, you're like, oh, snap, this is crazy. Michael Porter Jr. looks like a world-class athlete when you see him, his body type, and all of that. So I hope Michael Porter Jr. will have the chance to establish himself with the Nuggets, but who knows? Let's go ahead. Let's talk about the Pelicans and the Brooklyn Nets. We don't even have to spend a lot of time on this.
Bro.
Zion the Lion is not playing because he is out. Currently dealing with some family issues. Prayers for Zion and his family. The NBA as well as the Pelicans hope that he will return. But the Pelicans destroyed the Brooklyn Nets, who are the equivalent of the Brooklyn Nets are an AAU team. Can I just get a rant off real quick? Let me get a rant off. The Brooklyn Nets are an AAU team. Adam Silver, why? The Brooklyn Nets are so bad that they are not going to win a game in the bubble. If the Brooklyn Nets win a game in the bubble, I will shave my head live on 2 for 1. That's how much confidence I have in the Brooklyn Nets winning a game. They look terrible. They look like a G League, D League, E League, C League, G League, Z League, whatever league. I'm not going to even disrespect the WNBA by saying they look like a WNBA team, because that would be disrespect on numerous levels. On numerous levels. It's terrible. And I don't care if it's a scrimmage. We got to see 8 games of this. These are the games that if this was the playoffs, they would be on NBA TV while everybody else is on TNT and ESPN. This is bad. What are your thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets? How do you feel about what's going on over there in Brooklyn right now?
I agree with you, man. They don't need to be out there. They're wasting time. I mean, they look bad. I mean, I think they got beat by 40 today. They didn't look good, man. I mean, Karis LeVert's supposed to be the dude. I know it's the first game, but I know Pappy talked about Karis LeVert can average about 20. I don't know, man. I don't know what his final score was, but he started out terrible. I mean, he didn't look that.
Karis LeVert ain't doing nothing. Jack.
He ain't doing nothing, man.
Man, come on. He did good though. He did good though. Tripping.
They don't need to be out there, man. I mean, they're like this. The Wizards too. We're gonna get in that a little bit, man. But those two teams, like you said, they need to be swapped out, bro, because they don't look good, man. They don't look good. But I mean, we'll see. It's gonna be interesting to see Jamal Crawford when he plays. It's gonna be a little nostalgic when he gets in the game. But other than that, man, I mean, what's to look forward to the Nets?
It's gonna be nostalgic when he gets in the game until they get down by 38. Until they get down by 38, and we're gonna be like, damn, Jamal Crawford came back for this.
Seriously, bro.
They're not gonna win a game. Somebody said they're gonna win against a really bad team. What bad teams? Ain't no bad teams left. They not beat nobody.
No, they're not gonna beat nobody, bro.
They not beat nobody.
Nobody.
Absolutely nobody. Anyways, moving on. To round out the NBA night, the Miami Heat destroyed. Well, not destroyed. They played very well tonight against Sacramento Kings, who Marvin Bagley is not going to play for the rest of the season. Marvin Bagley is a guy that I actually had high hopes for. I thought that he was actually going to be a guy that would be able to come in, night out, and fill up the stat sheet like a Kevin Garnett. But it looks like Marvin Bagley is going to be one of those guys that potentially might be, kind of an NBA bust. And it's unfortunate because I think that Marvin Bagley has all of the tools, but if he's not going to be healthy, there's really nothing at all that can be done in regards to, this team. I think that this team is a mediocre team at best without Marvin Bagley. I think that they, I know that they were making a playoff push before the playoffs started, but the Kings are not going to make the playoffs without Marvin Bagley the third. They need, it's the third, right? Yes. Yeah. They need Marvin Bagley the third. He is, to me, the best player on this team eventually. They need him. The same way I think that the Denver Nuggets need Michael Porter Jr. in order for them to be successful. I'm not going to overreact to this game from either side. I think if you're the Heat, I just wanted them to come in and look like the Heat. They look like they're rolling on all cylinders. It looks like that basketball court that Jimmy Butler sent over to everybody, for them to, play on during the summer break. It actually worked out, for them. So I think that, looking at the Heat, I think it'll be very, very interesting to see where they go from here. I think, bigger than the scrimmages are their team where, we're going to talk about this in a second, that I think can actually contend for the championship, but not like fake contend, but actually contend, but only if Jimmy Butler is primetime. What are your thoughts about the Miami Heat?
I like the Miami Heat, man. I talked about it on my own podcast on Chill Takes, man. I had my homeboy on there. His name is Merlin, but we talked a lot about the Miami Heat. I like them. They're deep, man. They're the only team in the East that, beat the Bucks twice, if I'm not mistaken. They kind of handled them too both times. I like Bam Adebayo. He's a matchup nightmare for most bigs and power forwards in his league. Duncan came in and hitting some good shots today. Jimmy Butler was playing very solid. Crowder was playing very solid off the bench. Iggy came in and hit some good shots. I mean, they're a deep team, man. They got
Iggy.
They got a team full of players, man. I mean,
I'm not worried about Iggy though. I think Iggy, and I've said this a many times, Iggy is a guy. I don't think Iggy gonna do anything, because the thing about it is, the thing that made Iggy special in the West was the wings in the West. Mm-hmm. The wings aren't what dominate the East. The bigs dominate the East. Mm-hmm. Iggy can't run with them. Iggy can't hold Giannis. Giannis gonna put Iggy in a paint somewhere and have that man in the trash can like what's the grumpy one from from Sesame Street? Oscar the Grouch. Yeah, exactly. Giannis gonna turn that man into Oscar the Grouch. He gonna put that man in the trash can with ease. So I mean, I like the Heat. I think actually the biggest X factor for the Miami Heat is actually Tyler Herro. I think he's a guy for them that is a rookie, but I think he has he has veteran balls. And excuse me for saying that, whatever. Y'all can go ahead, drop some comments, whatever. But he got the balls to want to step up and take the shot. He reminds me, like, it's the thing. Like, Derek Fisher wasn't the greatest player of all time. He wasn't the most electric guy in the world. Wasn't the highest jumper, but he had balls. When you look at that game at the end of the Orlando series when the Lakers were up, what was it, 2-1? Derek Fisher caught the ball, 7 seconds left, walked up, stepped into a three, cashed it out. Got the ball in overtime, got the ball top of the key, took the shot, cashed it out. Tyler Herro is a guy that's going to be in the game because if Kendrick Nunn doesn't play up to par, Tyler Herro is going to have to play up to par because they're going to need that offense. That's also the other part why I'm not overrating instantaneously getting Andre Iguodala for the Miami Heat, because he is not a guy that is not instant offense. Last year, literally, I said if Iggy get 25, the Warriors going to win. He had 24. The Heat, and this is also the other thing. Jimmy is not a guy that's going to average 30 in the playoff series. So who for the Miami Heat is going to be the guy that's going to average 26, 27? In order for the Miami Heat to win a championship, 2 of the top 3 players on the floor have to be on the Miami Heat every single night. And the best player on the floor has to be on the Miami Heat every single night. And that's why I don't necessarily think they're going to win a championship, but I think they can be scary. Let's go ahead. Let's actually move on and let's talk about the biggest threat to the Bucks. What do you think the biggest threat to the Milwaukee Bucks is currently in the East? Who do you think is the biggest threat to the to the Milwaukee Bucks? The Miami Bucks.
I think it's the Miami Heat, man. We just talked about it, man. I think they give them the biggest threat. I mean, like I said, they have the defenders to kind of match up with everybody. The Celtics, they could pose a threat to the Milwaukee Bucks. They just don't have any. I don't like their big situation, man. I think Brook Lopez is going to possibly eat on Theus, and also Giannis is going to have his way with Jason Tatum. But they're going to, they're going to go 30 for 30 in that situation. But the Raptors as well. The Raptors are pretty deep. They're still championship contender. They still got championship blood DNA. I mean, you got Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, Serge, Marcus All. He looks thin and ready to play. And Norman Powell's playing his best basketball right now. So I like the Raptors. And outside of them, I mean, Philadelphia, maybe it's going to be interesting to see with that Melton and start going to the starting lineup with Ben Simmons playing the power forward position with Al Horford coming off the bench. I think the 76ers can pose a threat. But outside of those teams, man, I don't think anybody else will really challenge the Bucks like that.
That's interesting. Sorry, my mic was muted. That's interesting. I think when I'm looking at the Bucks, I think I think that their biggest threats are the Toronto Raptors. I think the Toronto Raptors is the biggest threat. I think after that it's the Philadelphia 76ers. But as I told my bro the other day, I don't think that the Philadelphia 76ers can beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 7 games. I think last year they could have beaten Milwaukee because they had Jimmy Butler, but also Jimmy Butler was hurt going into that game. So I still don't think that they would have beaten the Milwaukee Bucks last year. I think Giannis would have been too much for Ben Simmons and Embiid, especially look at what Giannis was doing versus Embiid last year. I think this year the biggest threats to the Milwaukee Bucks are the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors. I think the 76ers can probably, maybe, if Shake Milton gets hot, and I've seen Shake Milton get hot. I've seen Shake Milton drop 38 on the Clippers' head on a Sunday afternoon with my own 2 eyes from having many feet up from the press box. So I've seen Shake Milton shake and bake. So shake and bake. But Shake Milton has to be a guy that has to come up big. He has to be a guy for them that's going to be someone that is going to not only move the ball, but also make timely and effective shots. When I'm looking at Shake Milton, the majority of the time when he's in the game, his job is to be like a Lou Williams guy or a Jamal Crawford guy, a J.R. Smith guy, an instant offense type of guy when he comes in, but also a guy that can create plays for other people. I think what you'll see now is you'll see a lot of lineups on the floor. And low key, I can't wait. I'm going to find a basketball telestrator, and I'm going to have a basketball telestrator up here eventually. I'm going to find one of them on the internet. But I think if I had a basketball telestrator, I could show you on a basketball telestrator how they would essentially have Shake Milton is now going to be at the top of the key, right? Before, Ben Simmons would always be at the top of the three-point line, which is essentially why when LeBron was guarding him at the top of the three-point line, LeBron and everybody else sags off Ben Simmons, right? But if you put Al Horford on the bench and Al Horford comes off the bench, the biggest concern about the 76ers for me this year was their bench, because JJ is gone and the guys that they had on the bench last year are gone. The international crew that they had that could come in, that could shoot, and that could run and gun for them on offense. They don't have those guys this year. So now Big Al can come in off the bench instantaneously and control the offense and run the offense and navigate the offense, and you can run it through Big Al. Now you take Ben Simmons, you put him he started out in high school as a power forward. So you put him back in his natural position. Yes, he's a great passer. He can still be Ben Simmons, but you put him back down lower on the block, have Shake up high at the top, Josh Richardson on the wing, Tobias Harris on the wing, Joel Embiid can shrink down on the floor. And also what you can do is now you can run a pick and roll, pick and pop, have Joel Embiid sag back. He take the three-pointer now. Instead of before, if you were in a pick and pop with Joel Embiid, you just crash down to the paint, leave Embiid open and let Embiid shoot threes all day long. Well, now you can't do that, because if you run a pick and roll with Shake and Embiid, Shake can score, Shake can shoot, Shake don't care. So I think it depends on Shake Milton. Shake Milton is a guy like Kyle Kuzma. He doesn't need to average 18, but he needs to average 14 points per game and at least 5 assists a game in the playoffs in order for them to be able to make it to the championship. If he can do that, then they can threaten the Bucks. As for the Raptors, I've seen them, this year. Siakam is a freak. Van Vliet is a freak. Van Vliet is actually, to me, my favorite player on the Raptors. And actually, I think the guy that can come up the biggest for them in a series versus the Bucks, because I think what you saw last year, including last year when Kawhi Leonard was on Giannis, Fred VanVleet was a guy that could step up and hit timely shots and make timely buckets. You also mentioned that Norman Powell this year is playing some of his best basketball ever. So Norman Powell playing some of his best basketball ever. Fred VanVleet this year, even though he's injured in and out of the lineup, playing some of his best basketball ever. Pascal Siakam this year, playing some of his best basketball ever. Marc Gasol, as you mentioned, a slimmed down version of that, playing still Marc Gasol level. I think at this point in his career, Marc Gasol is what Pau Gasol was when he was on the Bulls. But not even that, really, from that perspective, but in terms of mentorship and on defense. Pau Gasol, when he was on the Bulls, was a scorer and a rebounder, a defensive player, and when he got the ball on the block, he could facilitate. Marc Gasol is going to be a guy where they're not going to look for him to score. They're going to look for him to stretch the floor occasionally, make a timely three, play good defense, and make rebound and make timely stops. And I think that's what you look for. I think, honestly, Eastern Conference Finals, I personally think I'm going to see Bucks Raptors. I think that the Bucks actually beat them this year, and I think they beat them in 5. And the other reason why I think they beat them in 5 this year versus last year was last year the Bucks did not have shooting all around. Kyle Korver was not there last year. Kyle Korver is a guy that can come in anywhere, and if he's open, can at least get you 1 to 2 to 3 timely threes. I was watching the Bucks versus Raptors series yesterday with my girlfriend's brother, and I was literally showing how Mike Budenholzer was miscoaching it, but also how Giannis was essentially shrinking to the top of the key and to the top of the three-point line like Ben Simmons, which allowed the Raptors to load up the paint, seal him off, and then when he did drive, he had to drive and kick it out to shooters who were not open. This year, if he's going to be down low, run a punch 34, put that man on a block, throw him the ball, Giannis, 2 dribbles, toss the ball to the rim, pick and roll from the top, and not all of that stand out on the wings and shoot. But also last year, Giannis couldn't shoot threes. So I think this year, the Bucks along Giannis ability to stretch the floor will come up, big for them, and I think they actually will beat the Raptors and go and play in the finals. But we'll go ahead and we'll actually talk NBA awards. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say about it. Who do you have as your most improved player? Who is your most improved player for the 2020 season? NBA awards are voted on this upcoming week. Who do you have?
My most improved player of the year definitely has to go to Brandon Ingram. He's playing some great basketball right now for the Pelicans, man. He's an all-star this year, the first time in his career. I think he was averaging over 20, playing some really good ball. He was leading the Pelicans pretty decently throughout the season. When Zion came in, they became like a formidable team, challenging for the 8th seed. I think the 9th seed right now, but I have to give it to Brandon Ingram. And then also, if you want to throw somebody under that possibly could be in it as well, I think it'd be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of OKC. But I mean, it's kind of hard to be most improved because he was a rookie last year, but he's playing some great ball too in OKC with Chris Paul and in that backcourt with Dennis Schroeder and them. So.
All right, cool. So, me personally, I'm going to give it to Bam Adebayo. And I'm going to give it to Bam Adebayo because I didn't see him being this good. I foresaw him being a formidable power forward, formidable, center in the NBA, but I didn't foresee him being this good of a player. And I think that every year he's continued to get better and grow his game. And I think that even making the start from a guy that was a gritty guy, that's an unknown guy that people are just starting to talk about, to being a guy that is arguably, I wouldn't say he's the best, power forward center, but he's arguably a top 5, front court player in the East, And I didn't feel that way last year. And I feel like that a level of improvement, as well as Brandon Ingram. I know a lot of people have heard me hate on Brandon Ingram or call me a hater or say Brandon or me say that I don't think Brandon Ingram is that great. I don't. But I think that he had a great year. And I think that if we're talking about improving instantaneously, of course, once you get that level amount of shots, you're going to be able to improve. But the biggest thing that I like from Brandon Ingram was the ability for him to continue to be versatile in his game despite other players being around him. And I don't think that he is a number 1 guy. I don't necessarily know if he's a number 2 guy. But in terms of this season, I'm just being honest. I think he's a Rashard Lewis type of guy. And I don't necessarily know if Rashard Lewis was ever the best ever the second best player on a real championship contender, because I would even argue that even when they went to the finals that year, Hedo Turkoglu might have been better than Rashard Lewis on the Magic when the Magic went to the finals that year versus the Lakers. And Rashard Lewis on the Seattle Supersonics was never going to go to the finals. So I don't necessarily know if Brandon Ingram is the 3rd best player on a championship contender. He might be, the 2nd best. He might be the 3rd best, but not the 2nd best. But I still got to give him his kudos. He played well this season. He deserves it. Dennis Schroeder played very, very well this year as well. He's a guy that actually has played very, very well on defense and offense this year, as well as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He might, he deserves some consideration. But if I had to give it to one guy, I would probably give it to Bam Adebayo, with Brandon Ingram being a 1B. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about Defensive Player of the Year. Who is your Defensive Player of the Year this year? Who do you have?
Man, that's tough, man. It's some nice names out there, man. You have AD, of course. You have Giannis. You have Brook Lopez. But I'm gonna go with Giannis, man. I think he's been playing some great defense this year. I mean, you can definitely say AD as well. I think AD will be 1B, but Giannis is playing good, man. He's been like the all-around player this year, man. What can he not do on the defensive end, man?
Really? Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna say Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis this year actually leads the NBA in defensive win shares. LeBron is much further down the line, not like way far, but he's behind Giannis. Brook Lopez is another guy that also people is going to be in consideration for. He's behind Giannis as well. And actually, let's see if I can share my screen. Let's see. Give me a second. I want to see if I can share, because I want to show these NBA defensive win shares. NBA defensive win shares. Let's see. NBA defensive win shares. Yep, let's do it. Let's share the screen. Let's take a look at these NBA defensive win shares. So, pulling up the player stats right now on NBA.com, so that way all of you losers out there that's going to be like, oh, LeBron, blah, blah, blah. Let's look at the stats. So, according to the stats, here we are. NBA defensive win shares this year. Giannis leads the NBA right now currently. Actually, let me see if I can put an advanced filter. Let's see. Games played. Games played equal what 40 games?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna do 50 games. 50 games. I think 50 games is enough for me to, 50 games. So hold on, wait a minute. It's greater than 50 games. My bad. All right. So out of everybody who's played more than 50 games, in terms of defensive win shares, we have Giannis at number 1. LeBron is a full 0.4 behind Giannis. Then after that, we have Chris Middleton, who's on Giannis's team. Then we have Jason Tatum, who's played very, very well this year. And I'm sorry. Then we have LeBron. Then we have Eric Bledsoe. Then we have Jason Tatum, who's played very, very well this year. Eric Bledsoe is a guy that's going to probably be first team all defense this year. Kyle Lowry is a guy that's probably going to be all defense this year. As I mentioned, Dennis Schroeder, as you can see him. Hold on, let me see. As I mentioned, Dennis Schroeder, you can see him right there. He's 16th in the league right now in defensive win shares, the best on the Oklahoma City Thunder team. So these are guys that, all kind of fit within this context. And even a guy like Ben Simmons, who's down here, who's 27th in terms of the win shares. I'm looking at all these players. I'm looking at these guys, and I'm sorry. Giannis this year, and I've said this, Giannis has the ability to sweep every single NBA major award this year.
He does.
So, speaking of sweeping every single major NBA award this year, let's go ahead and let's talk about it. NBA, Coach of the Year. Actually, I'm gonna save MVP for last. Coach of the Year.
Ooh, okay.
Coach of the Year. I was gonna do it, but then I decided against it. I'm gonna save Coach of the Year for last. I'm sorry. I'm gonna save MVP for last. Coach of the Year. Who do you have? Who's your Coach of the Year this year?
Well, that's tough, man. I got three I want to say real quick. Mike Budenholzer, of course, with Milwaukee. I mean, best record in the league. He's been playing. He's been coaching some wonderful ball right now, man. No doubt about that. Eric Spo down in Miami, another great coach. Has always been in a candidate for all these years. Also, Billy Donovan, man, for OKC. I mean, like, it seems like every year everybody wants to count him out. He's not built for the NBA. He lost KD. He can't do it with Russ. He did it with Russ. He lost Russ. Now he's doing it with Chris Paul, Shai, and Dennis, and the rest of the boys, and Steven Adams, man. So, honestly, I'm going to say Billy D, man. I like Billy D. I'm a Florida Gator, man, so I'm going to be a little biased on that, man. But Billy D, man, he's a hell of a coach. I think he's going to get it.
All right, me personally, I'm actually going to I'm gonna say that this year's Coach of the Year, I'm gonna make a surprise move, and I'm gonna give it to Nick Nurse. I think Nick Nurse deserves it again. I think if you look at this Toronto Raptors team, they have a plethora of guys who have not played the full complement of games that they've had available to them. They have been a team that I've seen this year, and that even if you talk to Pavy's always like, yo, like they run like Nick Nurse runs like crazy plays. Like Nick Nurse will run, like Nick Nurse like he'll run a diamond press. Pavy was talking about, he was talking to me about that. Nick Nurse is a guy that takes chances, and I think that you can clearly see it from everybody that is on this team. They lost essentially a top 3, top 5 player in Kawhi Leonard, and have not missed a beat at all this year on offense or on defense. And I think that the biggest thing for them this year is just health. Once they can actually get healthy, I think that they will, without a doubt, still be the 1B to the Bucks 1A. But the problem is for the Toronto Raptors is Kawhi Leonard is not walking through that door. And Kawhi Leonard is a guy who last year, time after time after time after time, bailed this Toronto Raptors team out. I'm unsure if the Toronto Raptors actually have a main option on this team when it comes to actually being the guy to take the last shot. So that's why I'm going to take the Toronto Raptors as being, the team and having the coach that deserves Coach of the Year, but also being a team that is still going to be very scary. And Nick Nurse is the main reason. I don't think that their personnel is anything, light years ahead, but I think that Nick Nurse is the new Pop. I think Nick Nurse is the new Greg Popovich, personally. So let's go ahead before we get ready to talk about MVP and get ready to get out of here. Let's talk about it. Sixth Man of the Year. What are your thoughts on the NBA Sixth Man? Who do you think deserves that?
We talked about him a lot, man. I'm gonna go with Dennis Schroeder. I can't give it to Lou Will and Montrez because they're even, man. They split, so they both average about. I think Lou Will averaged about 20, and I think Montrez averaged about 19. So it's just too even for me to give it to one of them. But I'm gonna go Dennis Schroeder, man. He's playing great ball. We saw the defensive win shares. He's averaging 19 in a loaded backcourt, playing great ball on both sides of the court, man. I got to give it to Dennis, man. He's playing some great ball right now.
Me personally, I'm going to actually disagree with you. I actually think that Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell actually do deserve DP. Not defensive player of the year. Six men a year. I think that they are two guys that come in and are always instant offense. And I think that the thing for the Clippers is, it allows you the luxury to be able to have a point guard like Patrick Beverley, where Patrick Beverley doesn't have to score. Patrick Beverley can have games in which he doesn't score a point at all, but can still be effective on the floor, can still do what he does because you do have a guy in Lou Williams that can instantly come in off the bench and give you 20. And you have a guy in Montrezl Harrell who can come in off the bench and give you 20. Both of those guys on almost any other team except for Lou Will, probably because his role has perennially been a six man, are starting level and starting capable players of in today's NBA. So looking at them, I'm looking at Montrezl Harrell. I don't think that this is not the NBA MVP where two players can cancel each other out because one guy is more valuable than the other. I think that if you have 2 6 men that are essentially averaging the same amount of points, playing the same amount of minutes, and having the same amount of impact, while essentially leading the league in their statistical categories off the bench, I don't really see how other people can say other people other than them. I think the only logical argument is Dennis Schroeder, and that's because of what I mentioned of him doing on the offensive and defensive end. But I personally think that it's unfair to Lou Will and Montrez that they can't win Sixth Man of the Year or share the award, or one of them can't win it because one of them is still as good, when literally they are predicated off of each other. They're both great because they play with each other. They're both great because they both get an opportunity to come into the game, play against the other team's sixth man, and whether it be the big man or the point guard, and run that pick and roll and send people to hell. So that's my personal opinion on it. How do you feel about that? I mean, I feel like they're being penalized for being great off the bench, when if you look at their team, it's not set up for them to be starters, but they can go to any other team and be a starter. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, most definitely. I think they are penalized, unfortunately, for being on the same team and playing so good. We just never seen this before. We never seen two quality players come off the bench that can both give you 20 apiece. I mean, we haven't seen that. That's crazy. So I think that's kind of, since it's been hasn't been seen before, it's kind of the unknown right now. And I think they won't give it to them. I don't know. They possibly will, but if you had to give it to them, who would that one player be? Will it be Lou Will or Montrez?
I'm gonna give it to both
got
of them.
a coach?
Yeah. If you can have co-MVPs, you can have co-Sixth Man of the Year to me. Like I said, if they weren't almost literally playing the same amount of minutes, putting up the same amount of level of production, they only really are on the floor with each other. They're literally, and this is from someone who covers the Clippers. Look, hella credentials. Most of these is from this year. So you talking to somebody who didn't seen them at practice day in and day out. They only really come in and play with each other, And even Doc told me early in the year that his goal was to try to have Paul George and Kawhi on the floor with Lou Will and Trez at all times. But a lot of times, more times than not this year, because of back-to-back issues with Kawhi, as well as with Paul George's hamstring, as well as with Paul George's torn labrum that he is recovering from, you didn't get the opportunity to see that. So you've still been seeing the same dose of Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell on the floor. And they are without a doubt the two best bench players in the NBA. So therefore, I don't think that they should, cancel each other out because they play on the same team. You would love, any team would love to have them on their team, including the Thunder. And I'm sure any team would most likely trade their sixth man for them.
Most definitely.
Am I tripping? You mean to tell me that the Rockets, who traded Montrezl Harrell away in that Chris Paul trade, couldn't use Montrezl Harrell right now?
They definitely could.
They could use him, including if it was just off the bench to do screen and rolls or just to come in and give them energy. So I think Trez is a guy that I'm looking at that's also going to be a max player. But before we get ready to get into our last topic, I want to say patreon.com/HNB. Go right now. Donate to our Patreon. Go support Black media. We are here. We will continue to bring you the hottest clips, the hottest coverage, the hottest highlights in the NBA. We are here. This is Hoops and Brews, HNB Media. So let's go ahead and let's get into the final topic of today's episode. Actually, I can't even see it. Where is it at? Where is my NBA MVP at? I thought I had it I didn't even cue it up. But first of all, I just want to also double back on this, say thank you for coming on the show again. I appreciate it. I like your platform. I like what you're doing, what you're building. But patreon.com/HNB. Let's go ahead. Let's get into it. All righty. 2020 NBA MVP. Who do you have? Who is your NBA MVP and why?
It's Giannis Antetokounmpo, man. Plain and simple. There's no debate in my opinion. I mean, I don't see where the LeBron even came up from. I understand he was hot those last 5 or so games, man. But the man Giannis has been balling all season. Best record in the NBA. Best defensive win shares. He's hooping. I mean, overall, the best player right now in this league right now. I think, in this 2020 year, I think Giannis played unbelievable, man. You just can't discredit him because of the narrative the NBA is trying to push with the whole Wash King thing. I get it. LeBron's playing excellent basketball. Leads the league in assists, over 25 points.
Wait a minute. The NBA is not pushing the Wash King narrative. The Wash King is pushing the Wash King narrative.
You think so? You don't think the NBA is kind of like just pushing that narrative a little bit? I think they are.
Guess what? I never jokingly call myself stupid. You want to know why? Because I ain't stupid. Because I'm not stupid. So you don't never jokingly call yourself something that is negative towards yourself if you feel that you are the opposite of that. I don't want to hear that. That's trash.
Yeah.
Respond.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think that it is LeBron pushing it as well, man. But it's just like the people around the NBA, man. I just think like the fans, the media, man, like they're just pushing it, man. They're making it seem like this man is like we've been talking. Everybody's been trying to talk about LeBron's downfall for the last 5-6 years now. I mean, obviously he's not.
I've been talking about it.
Yeah, I know you have. I know you have.
I've been because guess what? Just because y'all want to push this narrative, the thing about it before was the thing at worst was LeBron at least for LeBron. LeBron was always the best player on his team. Bron not even the best player on his team no more. He can't carry this team.
Yeah.
Bron gonna carry this team? This is my question. How is Bron carrying this team? That's also why. Also, is he carrying the Lakers?
Statistically, no, he's not.
Period.
He's not.
Period.
Statistically, no.
No. I didn't say statistically. I said period.
I don't know, man. We all know when LeBron doesn't touch the court. When he's off the court, man. Before those last few games, they were one of the worst teams statistically in the league when he wasn't on the floor. So when he hits the floor, they do play overall better. They do play, you know what I'm saying?
No,
more
I didn't ask you that. I asked you, was he carrying them? Is LeBron James carrying the Los Angeles Lakers? Yes or no?
I think he is in this.
How?
Okay. So hold on. If you take away LeBron James, are they still a top 4 seeded team in the West?
If you take away Anthony Davis, are they still a top 4 seed in the West?
I think so. I think so, TPJ. I think so, man. They've had worse teams in Cleveland. That man played with Bol Bol in Cleveland, had number 1. I get it. The East was trash.
You're lying.
You're wrong.
You're lying.
But he's having a great season. I'm telling you, man. I mean, if LeBron was by himself with no AD, if they had like another player around his caliber,
this what
like,
you gonna do? You gonna come on my show and spew this trash? Come on.
Hey.
The Lakers would still be a top 4 seed?
I think they would. Look where they were last year before he got hurt.
They missed the playoffs last year.
But
he came back.
TPJ, he got hurt. Come on now.
What?
TPJ, he got hurt.
He came back, G. He
got
came
hurt.
back, G. What?
He was going through a gruesome groin injury. You know how that groin injury is,
Bro, if Anthony Davis was not on the Lakers would be a top 4 seed because LeBron is leading them.
Yes, they would. I'm gonna say yes, they would.
Ripping.
So where would they be at?
They would be probably like 5, 6, 7. LeBron, literally. So it's just LeBron and his team.
Yes, I think they can still be a top 4 team.
What's LeBron averaging? Talk to me.
I think he's averaging like 26 right now. 2016.
No. I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about in this hypothetical world.
Oh, what's he averaging?
Lie to me.
I think he's still averaging about 27, 26.
I'm about to run out of my own. You about to make me run out of my own house. You about to make me run out of my own house like I don't live here.
It's happened before. We've seen it in Cleveland. It's happened before. He's done it before. He's had just Kevin Love and a bunch of role players around him.
Gee, I swear to God. For real?
Bro, they can be a top 4 team if it's just him, man. I think they can be. With everything that happened with no Golden State this year, they're hurt and everything like that, man. I think they can still compete for being a top 4 seed.
So who the second best player on this top 4 Lakers team? Somebody just said run out of your own house. That's hilarious. What? He carried dead teams. He carried dead teams in Cleveland. Come on, man. Them teams had Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving.
I think the second best player will be Kuzma. It'd be Kuzma. So I think Kuzma's role will kick in. Then you have Caruso. We've seen Caruso. He can get some buckets now.
You're talking to me about Alex Caruso.
He can get some buckets.
Are you serious?
He can get some buckets. If he's getting more minutes, bro, you don't think he can get some more buckets?
All right, G. I swear. All right, bro. Caruso. So who the second leader? Okay, so who the second leader scorer? Alex Caruso?
No, Kuzma. Kuzma's second leading scorer.
At what?
He can give you about 20.
Kuzma give you 20 a game. So what's your starting lineup then?
So you have Rondo 1, you have KCP 2. Oh no, my bad. Danny Green 2, LeBron at the 3, Kuzma at the 4, and then you had JaVale at the 5.
All right, hey, bro, look, you my guy. You my guy. But you tripping, bro. No, this team at best would be a 6-7 team. You got them top 4 seeds. So
they can be 4. They'll be 4.
Where in this top 4 they at? Where?
They'll be 4. I think they can be 4. 4. Wherever came 4. That'll be 4. They'll be 4. I think they could be 4.
You need to be stopped, bro. You legit.
Let's see how that. What's the standings right now? Let me see real quick. NBA standings, and let's see.
They're first right now.
They're first, so I think they can be. I think they can be better than the Jazz. I think they can be better than the Thunder, and I think they can be better than the Rockets.
With no Anthony Davis?
With no,
they gonna be better than the Rockets with no Anthony Davis?
Bro, we've seen LeBron do this before. You're talking like it can't happen. What? LeBron has done this. He has done this.
This is why we gotta keep the youth off of here.
Bro, LeBron
That's why we gotta
has
keep it
done
this. We finna turn to ESPN. We ain't having no more youngins on the show because you tripping. You're tripping.
LeBron has done this.
Speaking of LeBron, let's go ahead and Rachel Nichols actually asked LeBron yesterday. I'm sorry, 2 days ago in the pressers about the MVP award. I'm gonna play this clip of LeBron talking about it.
Do voting for postseason awards, including MVP, with the cutoff being when the shutdown happened. What do you think of that?
When the show, so
Nothing
counts after that. I mean, I don't really have a thought because I haven't really thought about it until now, until you asked the question. But I think those awards are always great this year, throughout this time of the year. To acknowledge the individuals that's had, great years. Not only from a player's perspective, but from a coach's perspective as well. So we'll see what happens.
You didn't get the chance. I mean, there was supposed to be a quarter of the season left when the shutdown happened. You were having a particularly good stretch.
All right, look. And then he also would later go on to be like, well, what they say LeBron can't win in the East. I'm sorry. What they say LeBron can't win in the West. LeBron didn't have Anthony Davis before. What? Yeah. What? No, come on, man. You're talking about I don't know who LeBron. I know who LeBron is. I clearly know who LeBron is. He's not taking Kyle Kuzma, Avery Bradley, Danny Green, Dwight Howard, and JaVale McGee to the playoffs in the West. Not as the 4th seed, top 4 seed. Y'all tripping. Y'all tripping.
It's possible.
You're tripping. You
can't count them out. You can't count them out, man.
No, I
He's
can.
done it before.
Count it out. Consider him counted out. But anyways, Darien, man, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the 2-for-1 show, the hottest recap show in the world. Make sure you go right now. You drop a like on that video. If you are watching right now, drop a like and subscribe to this channel right now. Please make sure you also go to patreon.com/HNB. Join us there. We have a private chat room for all of our Patreon subscribers. You get access to these in podcast version early. So make sure you go do that. Patreon.com/HNB. It's your boy TPJ as always. We will be back with Hoops and Brews on Friday. We were supposed to do Hoops and Brews, but we will be doing it on Friday. I will be back tomorrow with my show, the new show in LA, as well as tomorrow night King Watch LA airs immediately after after I was about to say Clippers. After Lakers versus Mavericks. So tomorrow night, Lakers versus Mavericks. After the game, tune into this channel. We will have only Lakers fans talking all Lakers basketball. King Watch LA. If you missed the last episode, please make sure you go and you check it out. As always, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram at RealTPJ. That's ReelTPJ. Today, I had the pleasure of having the homie Darien come through from the Chill Takes podcast. Darien, talk to people. Let them know where they can find you at on the internet.
Yes, sir. Y'all can find me at Chill Takes _ That's my Chill Takes podcast platform. My link for all my media stuff is going to be in my link tree in the bio. Also, if you want to follow me on my personal page on Twitter, it's Darien Chill _ man. So that's how it is.
All righty, Darien. I definitely appreciate you for joining me, and I will get up with you next time. Most definitely appreciate it. All righty, fans. Thank you all once again for tuning in to the hottest recap show in the NBA. I will be back with NBA action, hopefully, if not nightly, at least 3, 4, 5 nights a week. I'm here. I'm back. I'm ready. We live. We doing it, man. I appreciate all of you guys. Make sure that, as I said before, you subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/HNB, as well as go online right now on your computer screen. Click that like button. If you are watching us right now, click that like button. Click the like button. Click that like button. Smash that like button so hard your computer screen break. That's how hard I want you to take that like button, and I want you to go hit that like button. But anyways, I appreciate it. I will get up with you all next time. This is your boy TPJ, hottest NBA action 2-for-1 show. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will leave you all with this clip of Paul George talking to me earlier about what's going on in terms of Black Lives Matter. And until then, we will get up with you later. It's been your boy TPJ, and until next time, I will holler at you. Peace out.
Thomas, go ahead.
Paul, obviously you just spoke about George. Oh, I'm sorry. Paul, obviously you just spoke about George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. There was a lot of talk about you guys coming back and being a distraction. Do you think that having the opportunity to speak about this day after day will continue to lend to that message and make more and lend to change?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, again, that's what we're here for, to continue to keep that in the back of people's minds. Her murders are still free, so nothing was done yet. And we're going to continue to, again, keep this fight going and use our platform to stand up for those that can't stand anymore.